Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 27th of April. So as we start this week again, we've got a relatively light fundamental calendar and not an awful lot on the data slate to help give the market some kind of direction. One bit of news that we are hearing though, of course, is that Europe is, or a number of European countries are tentatively planning to ease the lockdown. So that sort of optimism may well sort of filter through into the markets, may well sort of give some momentum, momentum to some of these markets that we consider trading. So that's certainly something to keep an ear out for. So let's take a look at a few markets here that we're keeping an eye on at the beginning of this week and some of the opportunities that we're looking at. So if we come and take a look at the Dow first of all, if we just remind ourselves where the market is from a macro perspective, you can see that we're sort of around this sort of 24,000 level at the moment, just underneath the sort of highs here around 24,150, which was also a level of previous support a number of times in this market. It's also at the moment, it's sort of back around this sort of 50% of the coronavirus crash at this moment in time. So certainly at a key decision point area. If we come down to the 4-hour chart, you can see that the market here for the past week, in fact, has just been sort of contained within this sort of sideways range. And there's certainly a sort of a bracket here around sort of 24 to 24,150, which just takes in these highs here, to the lows around this sort of 23 sort of 100 area. I would say this sort of level through here has certainly been support and resistance a number of times. So whilst the market's contained within that sort of range, it's rather difficult to identify any sort of decisive sort of trend. At the moment, what we're seeing is that if there is going to be some optimism coming into the markets, and we start to get a break above the 24 and the 24,150 up here, then we could start to see that 25,000 level being tested through the week. If, however, this area here proves too tough for the market to get through and proves strong resistance, then we could start to see these lower levels get tested and even sort of taken out. The market's kind of testing these areas a couple of times now. So, again, if this market can't sort of get enough strength through here, there is only sort of one way for it to go. So we've got some very well decisive sort of trading windows to the long side and the short side on this market. And we'll be keeping an eye out as to how price plays out around this sort of 24 to 24,150 zone. If we come back to some of the currency markets here, a couple here that we're keeping a close eye on is dollar yen for one. If we look at dollar yen here from the higher timeframes on the daily timeframe, you can see that the market's been in the context of sort of sideways to lower price action for, well, quite some time, in fact, sort of going back a couple of months now. It's testing above this sort of 107 level at the moment, and any kind of sort of further breaks below 107 could open it up into a sort of a fairly nice sort of trading window, possibly down here towards that sort of 105 sort of area. If we take a look at this on the 4-hour time frame, you can see the sort of structure that I'm seeing there in price. So we started from the recent high, we've got lower highs in place, we've got the equal lows forming here. The indicators indicating that we've got sort of agreement in momentum strength at the moment, or momentum direction. This 107 is certainly looking like a level of strong support for the market, and as long as we can get underneath there, then we could start to see some of these trading windows to the low side get tested. We have around 106 and that sort of 105 area on the cards. You can see that the range here for the past quite a few trading sessions now has been contained within 107 to 108 sort of price point. So that's the sort of breakout of that level that I'm looking at, preferably looking at here at the moment for opportunities to the short side. Now on the other markets, if we come away from some of the majors, the euro against the Kiwi is another market that we're keeping a close eye on. This was on the watch list last week for us, but didn't trigger anything. If we take a look on the weekly chart, you can see that the market has retraced all the way back into quite a sort of a key level here. It's just around or just under that 1.8 area. It's back into the moving average sort of zone here. So we're certainly at some sort of decision point. You know, is the market going to find enough support here? Is this strong enough for enough support for the market to rally and start to move higher? Or indeed, is it likely to break to the short side? Now, if we come down to any time frames below the weekly chart, everything starts to look a little bit more bearish. And with the troubles that the Europe are having at the moment, any more sort of unsupportive news of the euro, let's say, could end up giving this market enough sort of strength to break through this level. So here on the daily time frame, we've got quite a well sort of tested level here. We've got lower highs forming as well, indicators indicating weak momentum at the moment. So again, we're looking for sort of breaks underneath here, and underneath there's sort of opens up a bit of a trading window down to around that sort of 175 area here in price. So quite a sort of a sizable trading window to the short side. Come down to the 4-hour time frame and you can kind of see the setup a little bit more clearly here. So a very well tested level, quite a sort of a ranging market at the moment. So we'd want to see the market sort of break this level and then sort of picture or capture some sort of pullback and some sort of position utilizing the techniques that we use for our trade entries. So there's a couple of opportunities there, a couple of markets there that we're keeping a close eye on in the trading, going into the trading room at the start of this week. I certainly hope it helps and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.